Hi everyone, it's Joe with Sharp Eye for Coins, and for the first time I'm doing a video on a coin I don't own. The 1916 winged Liberty Head 10-cent piece minted in Denver, more commonly known as the 1916D Mercury dime. Now I don't have one and I needed to learn more before I dove in headfirst, and this video is about sharing what I've learned, so keep in mind I'm not an expert, I'm only sharing what I've picked up. I bet most of you can guess why I don't have one. These are scarce coins and really expensive, even in AG condition. So I wanted to delve into this coin. I want to answer some questions that I had about it. I mean, I already knew the 1916 was the first year of their mintage and they were done in high relief, but I didn't know why only 264,000 were minted in Denver, while over 22 million were made in Philly and 10.5 million in San Francisco. What was the design inspiration of this version of Lady Liberty? Who was Adolf Weinman, and why was he so influential in this period? I mean, he also designed the Walking Liberty half dollar released that same year. Why are these referred to as Mercury dimes anyway? And I needed to know what someone should look for when deciding to buy one. So let's get into it. Now, there's a long story here, but interestingly, it began more than a decade before 1916. When the progressive President Theodore Roosevelt had a mission to create a more pleasing coin design, as the low-relief barber designs were tired and uninspiring. Roosevelt himself was a numismatist and was steeped in Greco-Roman tradition. He loved their high-relief coins. Now, German immigrant and artist Adolf Weinman had worked as a designer during the 1893 Chicago World's Fair with Philip Martini. He studied under Augustus St. Gaudens and Charles Henry Niehaus. And he briefly maintained a studio partnership with Daniel Chester French. Now, these should all be familiar names to you, and they were well known to each other. Now, going back to Roosevelt, he had already known St. Gaudens from the 1890s, and he had commissioned St. Gaudens to do his inaugural medal after he was elected to his first full term in 1904. But St. Gaudens knew his health was declining at the time, and he asked Roosevelt to accept Wyman to work on sculpting the medal together, which Wyman did. And the results were considered at the time modern and spectacular. And because of his partnership with St. Gaudens, Wyman's reputation was elevated, prompting the Commission of Fine Arts to invite Wyman to submit his ideas for new coinage in 1915 after rejecting Charles Barber's submissions. Wyman's designs for the dime and the half dollar were accepted that year. So the designs for both the Winged Liberty Head and the Walking Liberty were inspired by an actual person, Elsie Catchell Stevens, who was a tenant of Wyman's at 441 West 21st Street in New York City. And who best to explain the design choices than Mr. Wyman himself, who wrote to the editor in the Numismatist in 1916. He said, "Dear Sir, the wings crowning her cap are intended to symbolize liberty of thought. I have selected the motif of the fasces and olive branch to symbolize the strength which lies in unity, while the battle axe stands for preparedness to defend the Union. The branch of olive is symbolic of our love of peace." So, unfortunately, the public wasn't aware of the reasoning behind the wing cap and confused the figure for the Roman god Mercury, as he was frequently depicted with wings, either as a cap or sandals to signify his speed as messenger of the gods. Mintage for the Winged Liberty Head dime began in October of 1916. And yet the Philadelphia and the San Francisco mints were still able to produce millions by the end of the year. So why couldn't Denver make their quota? My guess is for Philly and San Francisco, transitioning to the Winged Liberty dies was easy because they were already churning out barber dimes. But unlike Philly or San Francisco, the Denver Mint didn't do any dimes in 1915 or 1916, so retooling could have taken a little more time. Mintage numbers for Denver show they were mostly dedicated to producing halves and the barber quarters over the other mints. And word is there was a large last-minute order of the quarter, so they had fewer staff dedicated toward the dimes. The scarcity itself and the fact that these dimes were circulated explains their premium value. Numis Media values a good at 860 and MS67 at 44,850. But take that with a grain of salt. Full bands gets you more. Not too many high grade examples exist, and higher grades often go for more than guide prices. At the June 2020 Long Beach Expo, MS66 Plus sold for $72,000. MS67 full bands went for $204,000 in March 2020 at Baltimore. These coins are circulated, so there's a mild chance you could find one out in the wild, but a high-grade example is probably out of reach for most of us. To achieve a full set collection, I'll be forced to look at lower grade examples. So what are the things to look for, watch for, be wary of when investing your money in lower grade examples? Well, I think one of the first things to keep in mind is that because this is a scarce coin, counterfeits exist. They exist in different categories: altered coins like altered mint marks, added mint marks, altered dates, and spliced coins. There's cast counterfeits. And so the reverse is the main point of authentication. A key determinant to authenticate the 1916D is to compare the mint mark to known examples that come from one of the 4 dies that produce them. PCGS says the genuine mint mark on the 1916D dime has a square-like appearance. The inside of the D is triangular in shape, and the serifs are strong and squared off. The mint mark is very well defined and sharply struck. Of the 4 reverse dies that were used, 2 of them show repunching on the mint mark, leaving a notched effect in the upper left serif. Now, people have added D mint marks on the 1916 dimes from Philly, either via glue or boring, punching metal into the coin. Slicing through a 1916 P or S and then affixing the reverse of a D minted coin on it isn't unheard of. They even used coins with S mint marks and ground them so the S would resemble a D. All of these techniques are relatively easy to figure out if you're versed in what to look for. Another thing to look for is a cast coin made from an actual die punched coin, and these are tricky. And the thing to look for are tooling marks in the fields of the coin. They'll appear as raised lines. So look out for evidence of tampering like glue, solder, heavy scraping, uneven wear, off-colored metal. I will watch out for mint marks that use a different style lettering, different size, tilting, or different position. And by no means is this an all-encompassing list. Buyer beware. Check out these examples of eBayers selling their coins right now. Now, in the case of the amateur collector, I'd advise only purchasing genuine examples that are graded by a third party. I mean, it might not fit in your book, but at least you know you have the genuine article. But if you're determined to buy a raw coin, please make sure you buy from a reputable dealer. See the coin in person with a loupe after having memorized the features on an authentic coin. And remember, if it's too good to be true, it probably isn't true, right? No one in their right mind will sell a $45,000 coin for $1,000, and it's becoming more rare to find them raw, I think. Even AG coins of this type are frequently slabbed and graded just to provide buyers with that guarantee of authenticity. Anyway, I appreciate you watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and hit the alert button to get notified when I'm live. And always, everyone, take care of yourselves, take care of each other. This is Sharp Eye for Coins, going out.